Elevate your new week, fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis and the most attention-grabbing lines, deciphering world events. Hook up to SSM Monday program Between the Lines.
Yes, hope you've nooked up. Hope you're well seated to get the update. My name is Mark Godwin Iwejua, and we're here on our week starters Between the Lines. I'm here in Milan, and I have my coordinators, partners. In Lagos, Nigeria is our big man, Olayinka Raji. Raji, you're welcome back to Lagos.
Good evening, Mark, and good evening, viewers around the world. Welcome to our Monday program, and I welcome myself back home to Nigeria.
Wow, it's good to have you back home to Nigeria. Yes, you're welcome.
Home sweet home. Yes.
Home sweet home. Yes, East, West, home is still the best. Yes, and also far away, Toronto, Canada is our big man, Sir George Chukwu. Sir George, you're welcome to Between the Lines.
Thank you so very much, Mike Godwin and Olayinka Raji. Thank you. Viewers from around the world, welcome to Between the Lines, where we pontificate and give you all, current solutions to all the problems and talk about the issues that we're facing. Olayinka Raji, since you came back to Nigeria, when you were in Ghana, I didn't see any wrinkles on your face. Immediately you came back to Nigeria, I'm seeing some wrinkles on your forehead. Is it because of the economic condition? I was
very reluctant to come back home.
I was actually praising you how relaxed you were when you were in Ghana, Gold Coast, and now all of a sudden there are some wrinkles on you because of the way Nigeria is.
Sir George, what you just observed was my very I saw same, when we were backstage, Yinka and myself, I said, Yinka, it doesn't look like you're happy.
Are you kidding? Did you say that to him?
Yes, I said. But now
you see,
so I'm not frozen. Yinka, can you hear us? His frame is frozen now. Now we begin to have network issues also. In Nigeria,
we never had it when he was in Ghana.
Yes.
Yes, yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. All right, gentlemen.
That is in Nigeria, that's causing me wrinkles.
Okay, it's good to be back anyway. It's good to have you guys back on our weekly program. Gentlemen, a lot is going on, a lot. But let's begin with something. I don't know if I'll say it's good news. Yes, the World Bank have just approved a fresh 1.5 billion naira support for Nigeria. George, did you hear that? 1.5 billion naira, $billion. Sorry. I don't know how that we'll call this. George, what did you hear that news? Tell us what you have, George.
I did hear about the news that they just approved either 1.5 or 1.7 million dollars for us. And that's the question that we have been asking. Why are we still taking aids from the World Bank? Because World Bank will always have special conditions for every loan that we have taken. And what is the collateral behind all these loans that we're taking? Are we mortgaging our country? Or what is it that they are the conditions for these loans that we're taking? Because if we, in the public, do not understand what the reason why these loans or the conditions behind the loans, what is it? How are we in Nigeria safe to be receiving all these World Bank loans? Are there conditions that comes with these World Bank loans that we do not know about? Because sometimes this is one of the major issues that we have in our country. Our country is being mortgaged in our sight, and we really don't understand what are the conditions of these loans. We need to really understand and find out what conditions are being perpetrated or given to us in Nigeria why these loans are being given. And how are we going to pay back these loans? Because we keep on borrowing. So far, since Tinubu came in power, or since the past 9 years of APC administration, we saw the excess that Jonathan left has vanished. Everything is gone. So now all of a sudden, all we do is we borrow money, we are borrowing money. And these World Bank people, they come and they put some stringent conditions. And one of these conditions might even be that in your country, that we want to make sure that same-sex marriage is acceptable. And these are one of the things that they put as conditions, which came out a few months ago, that's one of the conditions, and we denied it. So we don't know. Well, I don't know. The money is back here. We have the money, and accountability is another issue. Yes. How are we applying the money that we borrow from? What is it that we are doing? What is the bottom line? Because when the World Bank is giving you loan, it could be because of the pandemic, of recovering, the economic condition of the country or the financial condition of the country. But is this money trickling down to the people that might be using it to better their lives? Or is it going to go into buying private jets and boats? Or is it going to go into, rebuilding houses that don't need any, renovation? See, because these are the things we are saying. What are we doing now? We keep on borrowing and borrowing. And don't forget that, a borrower is a servant to the lender. When they dictate the conditions, you must obey it. We need to rebuild our infrastructures, bring back, industries into Nigeria that will give our children, our graduates, jobs in our country, put light in our country, rebuild the roads rather than buying jets and buying boats and buying SUVs with bulletproof. This is unacceptable. I don't know. Well, the money is here. Let's see if we can monitor how it's being spent.
Let's see how it goes, George. George, thank you. Raji, yes, you had George. The World Bank approved 3. He said it's going to be in 3 operational remittance, but it will come to a total of 1.57 billion. It says it's to support federal government in human capital, for good health for people, children, adolescents, whoever they say falls on that category. And they say it's also for our climate change program and all this flood that's taking communities away. Raji, tell us, is it good news? We had our vice president begging for loans to be wiped
forgiven.
out. Go ahead, Raji. Go ahead.
I recall that during the last days of Jonathan, there was a ranting from people like Amechi and others, and Fashola and the APC Vanguard, that the World Bank and world institutions should stop giving Nigeria loans because the next government will not continue with any agreement that they believe was not done in good faith. And I think that step should also be taken now. We should stop taking loans, no matter how good the repayment conditions are. We should stop taking loans. And I think a group of more people should join me in clamoring for that, and that the next government coming in will not, for instance, will not how do we put it? Will not accept the conditions that on which the borrowing was made, because we cannot continue borrowing against our exports. We cannot continue borrowing against our oil products. We cannot continue to borrow. Seeing that we don't even know what all the monies we've been borrowing has been applied to. Government Tinubu is congratulating himself for paying back all the loans that was taken by the former government, but he has taken more loans than he has repaid. Stop taking loans and let us live within our means. And you see, any loan that is attached to something like climate change or same-sex marriage is going to be an albatross on our neck, on the neck of our children, our children's children. We are killing this country. The present government, in particular, is killing this country. Is killing this country. Is reducing the hope of everybody in this country, of future generations of Nigerians. They are destroying this country. We should stop taking any loans, and we should protest against taking loans.
We should protest against taking loans. Thank you, Raji. Yes, George, go ahead. You want to add something? Go ahead, George.
No.
During Obasanjo's regime, we had an economic downturn at a point. Obasanjo mandated that nobody should drive any expensive car. What he bought was Peugeot for every single individual. He said that we have to cut our coat according to our cloth. That was the quote that he made those days. We have to cut our coat according to our cloth. You cannot be borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and putting next generation. Do you know that a few weeks ago, or last week or 2 weeks ago, the governor of Anambra State came out and said that no money has been paid into the government coffers from the oil, that we're selling internationally? Do you remember that?
Yes.
That the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria, had reported that no money has been paid into the bank on behalf of Nigeria for the past how many months? So my question is, we are still borrowing money. Where is the money, the revenue that we are getting from the oil? Where is it going?
Okay.
Where is that money going to? Because we are here inside the water and the soap is entering our eyes. And nobody is asking questions. And then it will come and it will go. We need to be very, very careful what we are really doing. We need to be very, very careful. You see, this government, they are not accountable to the public. Up until today, we don't know whether we're paying subsidy or not. Up until today, there is no accountability to nothing that is happening in that country. And this is exactly what the problem is. So now we are borrowing 1.57, billions. How is this money going to be spent? How are we going to be accountable to the way that people, the general public, will benefit from it? We're talking about children. We're talking about climate change. What is happening in Maiduguri right now? How much of that money will be used to help with the infrastructure rebuilding in that place, to house some of these people that have lost their properties and everything? There is no accountability in our country. We need to be careful, because we remain servants to this World Bank and other countries that we are subservient to because of borrowing money.
Because of money. Wow.
That's
the fact.
That's one sentence to add to what Sir George is saying. We cannot go and borrow money for flood relief or for internal displacement people. You can't borrow money for that. You cannot borrow money to help those who are suffering from flood. No, you cannot. You cannot borrow money for that. And let us be serious.
Let us be serious. We cannot borrow money for people, but that was what they said actually. The memo for this.
You can't borrow money for relief.
But that's what they are borrowing for. They are borrowing for better health, like they said, for women and children.
It's madness.
Yes, that's really madness. But I mean, that's it. So maybe it's not a loan. Federal government doesn't tell us things like George said. We don't get good information from the presidency. Maybe it's a grant. Maybe it's a free money.
There's no free lunch anywhere. There's no free lunch anywhere.
Yeah, nobody's going to throw money at you. How can we borrow money because of health and women and children and climate change? That sounds ridiculous, though. Anyway,
it's pure madness.
Yeah, what hospitals are we building? What hospitals are we building? What hospitals are we building? Because actually, when you think about this, and this is the way that, how backward thinking we are, we just spent 200 and something billion to rebuild the vice president's house. Do you know how many classrooms that would have renovated in Nigeria? Do you know how many hospitals that could have done, like in major cities where people are dying? Now, okay, you're getting this 1.5 or 1.57 billion, from the World Bank. Tell me, what are we going to use it for? Where would that money go? How do we monitor? And how are we accountable to the users of that money? Because as long as we are rejoiced today, we clap our hands, and that's the end of it. How the money is being used, we don't know. Where that money is going to, we don't know. The people are still suffering, dying of hunger. You're giving them plates of rice as if that's going to survive them for their life. This is not it. We need to be a responsible government.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you really said this well. We hope, we know they are listening. We know. George and Raji, I've seen some policies, some correction in our government style, and I see that it is from what you guys say here. Yes, I've observed that. So they are listening to us now, and let them listen to us very loud and clear. Stop borrowing money for frivolous things. Stop putting generations to come in a situation where we will be stuck because we are paying loans, money we never used, money that never helped us. Now we've gone to take another one. And you see, George and Raji, these Western countries too, they are quick to give us loan. We should also look at them. Why do they quickly sign? Oh yeah, 1.5 billion, take. I mean, can they also have some investigators, some inspectors that will also look at things and say, listen, Nigeria, you people need to self-finance yourself, don't come and be taking loans and be putting yourself in economical jeopardy. George, what do you guys think?
The question is this. No, look at that. Tinubu is now begging and say, forgive our loan. And one other country's president came out and, just echoed the same sentiment that they will need loans to be forgiven. But the question is, like, that's one thing that you just said there. There is no investigation on accountability. The money that we are giving to you, what can you show for it? If you're not showing anything for that money and you still borrowing, and then, they're just having the UN meeting in New York. All the Western world countries, they took, public transportation, flights to come in there. Only African countries you will see will have private jets to come, and yet you're begging for loans, and yet you're begging to forgive you for the ones you have taken. All the money that is being given is only spent on the 1%ers for flamboyant, ostentatious living, and the people are still dying and suffering. And they're using poverty to weaponize the nation. So when you give people crumbs, they will be shouting up and down. Today, as we see it, the people that are stealing our money, we are clapping. Nigerians are clapping for them. And they're hailing them because that is the only way they can get crumbs under the table. It is not supposed to be so. We need to wake up for the generations that are coming. We have mortgaged our country. We have mortgaged the future of our children. Enough is enough. We need to stop it.
Thank you, sir. Good one.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, let's move on. Tonight ushers in the Independence Day, and I think that's Raji's birthday too. Raji, is that correct? October 1st ushers in the 64th birthday of our country, the 64th anniversary of Nigeria. So Nigeria will be 64 tomorrow. And the federal government has declared tomorrow, a public holiday. Also, some people are saying that it's going to be a day of protest. We hope they will stand by their words, because they will say protest and eventually nothing will happen. We are seeing the federal government says they are unveiling 64 buses, 64 public buses that will be sent to different states, to commemorate the Nigerian Independence Day. Gentlemen, let's go into Nigerian Independence Day. First of all, are we really free? Are we really independent? Are we standing alone? First of all, George, let me hear you say
64 years. 64 years. It is 64 years of suffering and smiling. because of this presidential system of government that we have embraced. We need to change the infrastructure and our way of governing our people. We need to go back to the origin, go back to the drawing board, and find out the way that every single citizen of Nigeria will embrace and enjoy what God has given to the whole nation, not just the governing people that are just enjoying and having fun. 300% increase in the judicial department for them to have fatted salaries, and yet they are still, you can't trust the judicial system in Nigeria. The governing body, they have all kinds of perks in their salary, and they're giving themselves additional salary every time, but they could not even. We have to go for months upon months upon months arguing about living wage versus this other minimum wage, and then 70,000. How many states are embracing that today? How many are paying their the salaries of people that are suffering, the people with all the inflation, everything that has been happening in our country? Up until today, you can boast of nothing. So this is exactly what we are talking about. We need to go back to the drawing board. I know that Tinubu is trying his best, but I am so sorry his best is not good enough so far. Because what he has done is telling the people to suffer some more, as if the suffering is supposed to bring money to you. Suffering ain't bringing any money to you. What we need is, let's take it, divide the cake equally among the citizens of the country. Let them enjoy a little bit of that. The money they're paying to subsidize oil, they say no more subsidy. Up until today, we are still paying subsidy, and they refuse to say that we are paying subsidy. They will call it another name. And this is it. Why, if we are still paying subsidy, why is our fuel price is still the same as it was after the subsidy was gone?
As if it's
that's
not.
The question
that's
we
it.
need to ask. People are suffering.
That's it, Raji. Tomorrow, as your birthday too, the Minister of Interior Olabunmi Tunjojo has said that he had declared tomorrow holiday, and says people should also congratulate Nigerians home and abroad on this special occasion. He says he commends Nigeria. Nigerians are doing well, but it's not anything to write home about. I mean, we're still a 64-year-old man should have passed a lot of things, but we don't look like 64 as a country. Raji, let's hear you.
It pains me that October 1st is also my birthday. And with the state of affairs in the country, I'm not able to even be joyous that this is my birthday. I wish Nigeria would move their Independence Day somewhere else so that I'll have the day of joy. Because if I'm justificating now, people will be asking me what is there in this country that you are so happy about. And I have to explain myself. Nigeria is 64 years old. Nigeria effectively is not more than 12-year-old. But even 12-year-olds of this era are far more matured in their actions than Nigeria at 64.
Oh,
there's nothing this country has done that makes you happy to be a Nigerian, because you wake up every morning with worries upon worries upon worries. It seems as if we take 2 steps back, 2 steps forwards, and then we leap a whole 100 meters backwards.
Oh, yeah.
And then we start the whole journey again. Stopping and keep starting and stopping and keep starting and stopping.
Starting and stopping. Now,
so it is very, very. Yeah.
George, Reggie just made it sound very, very emotional, and what he said is very true. A day like tomorrow should actually be well celebrated, But when you do anything, what is there to celebrate about today, about Independence Day? George, let's look at it from the citizens' point of view.
I mean, there is no Nigeria. Most of the people here, we are talking about Independence Day. Everybody says, what are we celebrating? What are we celebrating? What is it that we are actually celebrating in our country for after 64 years of independence? We have nothing to boast about. We have nothing to offer to anybody. All we have done is, the countries that we helped so many years ago are using the products we gave them as their highest GDP, like Malaysia, palm oil. What is it besides oil and gas today that Nigeria can boast about? All the industries that are in Nigeria are leaving Nigeria. And yet we are boasting and talking about, we're finding MOUs all over the place for people to come and invest in our country. What are we celebrating? We are celebrating a lot of insurgencies, a lot of thousands upon thousands of people that are dying daily in our country. That's what we're celebrating. Children that are dying of malnutrition. That's what we're celebrating. What are we celebrating in our country today? What is it? Bad roads. And we are singing happy birthday, happy Independence Day, Nigeria. Were we not better when we were under the European, UK government? Today we have no water running anywhere. We have no light. We are celebrating it. We have no good roads. We're celebrating it. We can't even feed ourselves, and we're celebrating it. So what is it that we're celebrating, really? When you really think about it, what one person can come out except for the 1%ers, the people that are governing us and stealing our money? The only thing they're celebrating is fatted. These are fatted calves, fat cats. Their pockets are full of money, but the rest of the citizens are dying. What are we celebrating? Good schools? We have no good schools. Hospitals? We have no hospitals. What is it that we're celebrating? No, tell me, because I want to know, after 64 years, if you have been traveling to a destination after 64 years, you ought to tell you that you are in the wrong destination. You must be following the wrong road. You need to take yourself back and restructure yourself and see whether you can institute a new thing that will help you. Because as we stand today, I don't see a single thing Nigeria can actually say that we are celebrating. Is it bigotry? Is it religious bigotry? Is it tribal bigotry? Is that what we're celebrating? Because that's what this government is all about. That's what they're promoting. So tell me one thing that we can smile today and say, we are celebrating this after 64 years of independence. When you talk now, they come and arrest you. Is it the judicial department that you will trust, the justices? Who are you going to trust? The government officials? The police department? Is that what we're celebrating? Come on.
Okay.
Can we wake up? Can
Viewers,
Nigeria wake up?
Yeah, can Nigeria wake up? Viewers, tomorrow is Nigeria Independence Day. We'll have a special program commemorating that day too. You want to look up with us and let's share what you've gained, what you've benefited being a Nigerian at 64. You want to tell us some of your experience and also not too good experience, but also, let's welcome Dr. Godwin Ibe, Moscow, Russia. Dr. Godwin, it's good to see you.
I am so happy to see Dr. Godwin Ibe. Maybe Dr. Godwin can, maybe with his eagle eyes, he can tell us something that we have not seen after 64 years. Please, welcome. Welcome. Because
all right,
let's
go on a small break. We'll be back. Remember, tonight is a special edition starting the Independence Day of our country, Nigeria. So, gentlemen, please hold your guns. George, don't worry, you'll be.
hold your high horses.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in diaspora and at home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. Elevate your new week, fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis and the most attention-grabbing lines, deciphering world events. Hook up to SSM Monday program Between the Lines.
I sent you the link to the news.
Yes, yes. You are welcome back. Yes, we're still in that mood, the independence mood of Nigeria. Tonight, tomorrow, October 1st, begins that season, the independence season. George, are you there? Godwin, are you there? Raji, we lost your view. Okay, gentlemen, let's come to some international news. Let's see what's going on in the other part of the world. Israel is about to wipe out Hamas.
Sorry, you didn't allow me to speak.
You want to talk about the Independence Day?
Yes, George introduced me, and then you went on a break. So
because I thought probably you weren't okay. Let's hear. Go ahead.
No, you didn't allow me to answer.
It's okay. Don't worry. Say something.
Thank you.
Say something about the Independence Day. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Yeah, I didn't want to exactly speak only on that, but anyway, thank you all for welcoming me, and I'm happy to see you once again. About the Independence Day, I think when some of the oracle have spoken, there's very little to add, but it's important to note that on all camps, even on the Renewed Hope camp, there's really nobody I can see that can honestly say that we are doing well now as a nation. We are doing well as a country. Like, the Renewed Hope is the promise that the future will be better, but nobody says the present is anything to write home about. And I think this sentiment and feeling is felt on both sides of the political aisle. Means that we really don't have so much to celebrate apart from our culture, our beautiful existence, and maybe history. But in terms of where we should be and where we are now, there's a very large vacuum, and then we have a lot to do. So that's what I want to say. Basically, we don't have any achievements, but we have a rich history and culture and beauty to celebrate, but not that success that of where we should be.
Wonderful. That sounds real good. Thank you, Godwin. Yes, regardless of what we've also been passing through, Nigerians are one. I mean, the word resilience is even beyond that. We've still been up there. A lot of us are still doing everything they would want to just keep that country on. And we appreciate you guys here on this network. Soon we'll be having more diverse tribes joining, or diverse sex group, political zone individuals joining us. So viewers, be ready to have from the south, more people coming from the north of Nigeria, more of our friends joining us, so that we really show that one Nigerianness in us. Thank you.
Yeah, we also have a Nigerian artist in Moscow, in Russia, who said he was recognized by the Russian government. We helped as Nido Russia to bring him over to Russia. He's called Benny Bebe. He has shown his works in Canada, in the US, and now in Russia. He's been awarded in Russia for helping in cultural exchange. So it's part of the beauty of Nigeria, which we are trying to celebrate in diaspora.
Thank you. Nice. Like, we could have him here if you want us to. Let's chat with him. All right, gentlemen. Let's move on to some international happenings. I said Israel is on a mission. Israel has struck terror leader in Lebanon this morning. 3 more militant commanders were struck down, and this is coming after they killed also the Hezbollah chief that was killed on Friday. So it's happening. Raw war is about to break out in that place, or the war is even on now. Gentlemen, let me start with Godwin. Godwin, what do you say? Thousands are fleeing Lebanon. everywhere is in disarray. Deaths at numbers are increasing. Tell us, what's your view from Russia?
Our view is we look at it with both horror and at the same time a little bit of caution, because we understand that it's not only the theater of war that is going on in the world, and some of them are actually closer to our borders, and I mean Ukraine. But nonetheless, the sad fact is the focus on the top Hezbollah leaders, but no one talks a lot about the collateral damage. For every building they strike them, you can see how many floors go and how many civilians are gone. So everyone seems to focus on 1, 2, 3 Hezbollah leaders. What about all the civilians that occupied from the first floor to the 10th floor? They're all just basically gone. It's horrible, and obviously on the Israel side, it's also not without response to see the shootings in Israel and also in the sea routes. The ships are being attacked. Every side is suffering losses, and basically, we have to try to move towards negotiation and compromise. With that attitude of it's either our way or the highway, or until we wipe everybody out, we won't rest. I think it's very, very, very sad, and we have to find a way to be on the table so that we can iron out all our differences. It's very, very difficult, very, very difficult, especially when we are moving from a world where there's been fewer powers and now there are more centers of powers. People who could take instructions from the police of the world now not taking it. It's very difficult to accept this new role, but it's what it is, and we all have to sit together and respect everybody's strategic interest. You are muted, Mark.
Sorry for that. George,
Yes.
before Raji comes in, yes, it's really getting very serious. Take note that Hassan Nasrallah was killed the other day, 2 days ago, and that's the leadership of Hezbollah, like we all know. So it's getting tougher and tougher. Tonight, this evening, before we came on screen, Israel was making more announcement that, listen, you guys will leave harm's way because they want to do some more air raids, some more sea raids, and all of it. So tell us, George, what's your take on this?
Yeah, my take is this: you have to go back to the, to the foundation of everything. If you are promising me that you want to make sure that I'm annihilated, and then a country is on the side, fueling these people around me to make sure that I go down, that they're going to fulfill your promise that you made to yourself, that you want the end of me. It is my also natural human defense system to protect myself. Now, we saw that, Hezbollah, they were fighting, they were doing everything. Now, the war with Hamas and Israel were going on, but Hezbollah got involved. Israel never shot at them at all. They were being fueled by Iran, and they were now coming and they're fighting Israel, helping Hamas. Well, that's fine, but this is war. So now, all of a sudden, you begin to see that you are dealing with a superior power, a superior system. Because number one is they came after you and annihilated your communication system. All your phones or whatever walkie-talkie that you're using, a lot of people died in that. And then they come after all the leaders, even to the point that Ayatollah, the leader of Iran is on a hiding right now. He came out and said, we will retaliate. And after that, they ushered him and then went and hid him somewhere. Because you cannot hide, you can run, but you can't hide. So that's what I'm saying. Now, when you are promising to kill somebody, it is the natural human, responsibility of that individual to defend themselves. So now, I think this should be a lesson to some of these other people, both including the known terrorist groups or whatever you call them that are coming after Israel. This is a small nation. I mean, Netanyahu was a UN meeting, and he was showing how small their nation is. One of the smallest countries in the whole world. But yet the world is talking about that everybody's surrounded and wants them to die. What do you want them to do? Fold their hands? No. They got to defend themselves. So to me, it's a state of war. Therefore, they're doing what they can in order to stop whatever the the infiltration of these other countries coming to destroy them. That's it. Unfortunately, there are casualties. But what are you going to do? Fold your arms while they're bringing missiles into your own country?
Yeah, Raji, do you agree? Raji, are you there? Do you agree with George?
I'm here. Sorry about my network. I have to apologize for Nigerian GSM companies for their very, very unstable network. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. My position has always been this, that Israel is afraid of peace. All the people, all the combatants in the Middle East in particular are afraid of peace. And Israeli intransigence is supported by American militariness in the Middle East, making sure that there's no peace in the Middle East, so that American arms will be easily supplied to the Israeli, and then the American defense industry will be very busy. But then in all this, what I see is a deliberate distraction from the wickedness that is ongoing in Gaza. Because as we speak now, with the Al Jazeera office being closed down in Gaza, Israel is doing terrible things in Gaza. By the time we all come to it, there'll be no Palestinian in Gaza. They would have all been headed into one corner, 2 million people in one small space with no living accommodation for them. 90% of habitable accommodation across the whole of Gaza has been destroyed. So now we are distracted by what is happening in Lebanon with the Houthis in Yemen, because Israel wants to shift people's gaze from what they are doing in Gaza.
But let's talk about provocation. Let's talk about provocation, though. Let's talk about provocation. Because the provocation came from Hamas. Provocation, in fact,
what Israel is doing in Lebanon now is provocation. Provocation to distract people from what is happening in Gaza.
George, but let's be a bit more honest. But George, let's be a bit more honest, yeah? When you speak about even the word provocation, you know that this provocation didn't start from October 7th. And you know very well that, you know very well that this has been an ongoing struggle for however you see it. Let's say from the lens of the Gazans' liberation from what they see as occupation. And it's been a long-term struggle. So this provocation didn't start overnight. And anyone who thinks that what Israel now is doing, Hezbollah, is a long-term solution is really, using some prohibited substances. It's impossible that what they are doing can cause foment any form of peace from the Arabs. They are the fastest growing religion. They are the fastest growing population. They are seeking more sympathy from other rising centers of power. Where America is not going to be the center of power for the next 50 years. I mean, the sole center of power. They are gaining sympathy, and other centers of power are seeing them as strategic, are seeing them as playing the role of strategic balance. So anyone who thinks that this is like a long-term strategy I can't really understand. You can only wipe out people; they will be replaced. They will harbor the resentment, the loss of their relatives. They are the people who feed them. Their fathers or mothers, and then they will group up back and come back. So this is very far from any form of any way that it represents even Israel's long-term interest. People are absolutely dying in that regard, and if they are hoping that they're going to keep on getting a blank check from the US, you understand how a lot of people feel in the US now about this blank check thing. More people are rising up in a position and saying it's a blank check, we shouldn't be doing blank check. Many people are coming up America first. Didn't start with Trump, by the way. He just was the mouthpiece For just like even when in the days of Nazi Germany, Hitler, when he was he did his evil act, but he was a mouthpiece for the national sentiments that were rising or brewing up in the country at that point. So it can never be a recipe for peace. It can never be a recipe for long-term interest of Israel. You have to get that into, if you want to be honest about provocations.
Well,
It's not the
listen to
last.
this. You know what, Dr. Godwin? Think about this and think how many years they have suffered since 1948. I think about that for, strategically though, because, the war did not start yesterday. It has been an ongoing war against them. Okay, now, nobody talks about what actually started all this roundabout that we are on right now. Nobody mentions that anymore. They're still holding the hostages. You refuse to let the hostages go. You killed a lot of hostages. Cold blood. You killed their bodies outside. These are the things we need to consider. So when we are talking, I am sad that this stuff is going on, but I don't see an end anytime soon, because according to what was prophesied, if you believe the Bible, when it will come, but it's not anytime soon. But what we're saying is this time around, it was an unprovoked attack that started this roundabout again. And then recently, while we are negotiating and talking about, okay, let's talk about peace, you kill a bunch of them and threw their bodies out there like, you're killing vultures and putting them out there. So when you are up against the world on your neck, and everybody wants to annihilate you, they swore
There's nobody
that,
that
they are going
Israel.
to destroy you.
Nobody
What do you expect them to do?
Let me tell you,
what do you expect them to do? They have to defend themselves.
George,
and besides, anyway, they are superior military power over all of these people. Look at them now. Everybody's on the run.
The events of October 7 were
Everybody's
actually
on the run. They're hiding.
by the Israeli secret forces.
George,
there were no evidence of burnt children.
I'm sympathetic. I'm sympathetic both to Israel and to Palestine. When you hear me speak, you know that I actually feel both for Israel and Palestine. But you have to understand
I do.
You have to understand, but your statement seems to you don't tend to portray the feeling or the views of the other side, the Gaza side. Whatever terminology you use, whether you use even annihilation, you use in the Gazans, they see it as annihilation as well from their own point. They see it as extermination from their place of abode. They see it as how do you call it, resettlement, or open air prison. They call it all sort of names. Equally, you use all these terminologies, but you're turning them for only one side. The same terminology exists on the Gazan side, and you can see that this
all right
is a long time ago.
Thank you. Added to what you're saying, this morning, Saudi Arabia launched what they call Global Initiative for the Palestinian State, and they reaffirmed their own support for a two-state solution. That's the Saudi Arabian nation. They said a two-state solution is the solution, two-state solution. So they unveiled this initiative, and they are going to work on it and see how to aim and bring peace to that place. But like George is saying, we know this Israel-Palestinian conflict, it's a long way from it's a long way from what anybody could say. Anyway, so that's the Saudi stand on this, a two-state solution, and we hope they will be able to work out that initiative for the progress of both parties. So moving on, gentlemen, let's look at some other news. Somebody is saying something on behalf of Nigerians in diaspora. Some people, 4 gentlemen, experts in the United States, said Nigerians in the diaspora contribute 20 billion annually to the GDP of Nigeria, that they deserve to vote. George, let me start with you. You are a diaspora and you're a Nigerian and you're outside. Truly, don't you deserve to vote?
When we talk about politics in our country, when we're talking about, whether we shall go with a parliamentary system or presidential system, or whether we are going to look at what just happened in Edo State recently. So the bottom line is, until the foundation, we go back to the foundation and begin to, like, you know, restructure every single thing, because this foundation is faulty already as it is. Yes, indeed, we deserve to vote as diasporans because we contribute to the GDP of Nigeria tremendously. Because of the failed state we have in our country, many of our family members are depending on diasporans to send money home in order to sustain them. Therefore, that gives us the constitutional right for us to vote. And there are many countries in Canada here, and when I was in the US, that voted. But the point is, even with that, until we get rid of, you know, the electoral system in Nigeria and take care of INEC the way it is today, take care of the judicial system the way it is today, they can give us the rights to vote tomorrow. We will vote, but the point is, will your vote count? Okay. Will your vote count? Even with the billions that we spent to bring electronics in Nigeria that will actually make a free and fair election, they still have circumvented it, found a way to find, you know, to make sure that it doesn't work. So the question is, yes, we can start voting, but what difference would it make? It's all in name. It's all in name.
It's all in name.
We need to go back to the constitution. Yeah, we need to go to the foundation and reshuffle everything. So that even when we vote, let it count. When they vote in Nigeria, let it count.
Yes, thank you, George. Raji,
I can guarantee, I can tell you one thing. There has not been one single presidential election that was counted in Nigeria, and as a result, the winner became the winner. No, none.
Okay, let's hear Raji. Raji, you're also partly diasporan. You come out of Nigeria most times. You're in UK, you're in Ghana, you're in America. Don't you think you should vote like a citizen with all you do? Raji, can you hear me? Okay, I think we lost Raji. Okay, Godwin, let's hear. I wanted you to say go last. Okay, let's hear you, Godwin.
Nigerians in diaspora clearly deserve to vote, and as the chairman of Nigerians in diaspora Russia, I've been campaigning for that as well. But that does not mean I don't have my reservations. I mean, when we speak about diaspora, 20 seems to be the magic number, because we have about 20 million Nigerians living out of Nigeria who are diasporans. They remit about $20 billion a year. And they, in terms of sub-Saharan African remittances, they bring in 35%. So it's a huge piece of the cake in terms of both diaspora remittances as a whole, and our GDP in Nigeria, gross domestic product. But at the same time, there's the question is, who are the we? Why, when how easy is it to manipulate? We really need to it being used as a tool against our interests. For example, to allow illegal immigration or illegal identification of foreigners as diasporans outside the borders of Nigeria, such more that it becomes uncontrollable. I mean, you don't want to wake up one day and 107 or 10 million citizens of other countries all of a sudden become Nigerians because all of a sudden they are in a particular political party and they are useful to the political elites or the political class at that particular point in time. We want to make sure that there are ways to really check the citizenship. There are ways to secure votes. We have to increase trust, people's trust in the electoral processes. Only then will we will really believe that, yeah, even when diasporans vote, that it was really diasporans that voted and not just some number crunching or event. So we have a long way to go, not just in terms of the technical perspective, but in terms of the security and the building trust.
I think we'll give more space on this topic in this network. Gentlemen, it concerns us because we're also a diaspora network. So Godwin, Raji, and George, be on this for future engagement. Let's begin to crop it up. Also, it's been said that our population is blowing up. Apart from the the one of the diaspora and voting, there's a new spreadsheet that came out this morning. Nigerian population, it was going to surge by 54% by the year 2050. As also the global population come close to 9.6 billion. Now, we're talking of numbers of people, and these are humans, growing every day, numbers keep increasing. Gentlemen, Raji, I don't know if you can hear me now. Are we ready for this number as we increase? The one we have already we're not doing much with it. Human resources, and they are just lying there suffering. And now they say it's going to be an explosion soon. Raji, talk to us.
Is Nigeria ready for anything? Do we use statistics at all? So all these numbers we are coming up, even the one we have now, what have we done with it? What have we done with the over the so-called demographics of the youthful population of this country? And what is the value of each of these youths? What is the point in having a youth without any direction, without any means of being independent on himself, without any means of livelihood? It's not. We can't just go by numbers. We go by the quality of the people who are being numbered. What's the point of 50 million youth without education, without any vocational training? What's the use of that? Nigeria is not prepared for anything.
Godwin, we're not prepared. Raji says we're not prepared for anything, but the numbers will be growing, and very soon it will, boom, blow up to our faces. Godwin, tell us, what do you think?
Well, we cannot basically force people not to give birth or try to engineer the population amount of the population. But what we could do is to educate them and educate them and make maximum use of what we have. What we have is a blessing in disguise if utilized properly. It's not even in disguise, it's a blessing in plain sight. Because if these human resources are utilized, we can be very good in so many industries, including assembly, including export, including production, because labor wouldn't be so expensive, but output could be really huge. These replacement rate or fertility rate of 2 births per woman is what so many countries, including Russia, dream of. Because you want Nigeria to be for Nigerians. You do not want Nigeria to wake up one day and it has lost its culture, its history, or its people. And from what we see, we can see that Nigeria will be for Nigerians in the next coming decades. But we have to find a way to utilize this huge human resources that have been bestowed upon us in plain sight by educating them, giving parents options so that they can choose if they want to continue at that rate of fertility or lower it down a bit, and also to make sure that those low-skilled labors are gradually being converted to high-skilled labor so that I can continue to produce and add to the value chain in such a way that we are self-sufficient, we have our sovereignty, and we are protected from external shocks, including global inflation. So I think it all has to do with management and proper utilization of our resources, including human resources.
Thank you very much. George, what's your view on this?
Yes.
Well, yes.
Go ahead.
You go.
Well, I agree with Dr. Benjamin. Dr. Godwin regarding we have a blessing in disguise. And one of those blessings is that diversity is our strength. That's why I advocate for one Nigeria. I don't think we should separate. I think we should remain one, but also to make sure that there is a plain even ground for everybody to operate. We need an intelligent, enlightened Nigerian president who will see even the population explosion as a plus among us and will be able to institute and put together infrastructure and things that can actually bring us to compete with people like China and India and places like US as a matter of fact. And then a Nigerian president who will be able to gather all Africans together as a Pan-African mentality, to bring all Africans together, to collaborate with one another, in order that we don't have to depend on the Western world, the Europeans and the North Americans, Russia or any other place whatsoever. We can trade within ourselves, and our GDP can grow within ourselves before we start thinking outside the box. I think is a great thing, but the problem is we can't even feed ourselves as it stands right now. We need a president who will not begin to think, what can we do together to self-sustain ourselves with regard to food security, self-sustain ourselves with infrastructural development and things like that, so that people can go to school and come out and have a job. What we are doing right now is a joke. Whether we like it or not, we are laughable to the world today as we stand. So population explosion, we're suffering, we're smiling. Hopefully, we will get a president who will look in the future and tell us that truly that renewed hope will actually come to pass in our own generation. That's it.
Okay. Yes, gentlemen, all strong talk. Thank you very much.
Go ahead. I've said it before. I've said it before. I'm not too optimistic, but I really believe many of our problems can be solved in 6 months if someone who really knows what he's doing in Nigeria. I will never stop saying it. 6 months is what it needs to solve many of our problems. I give you an example. We have good solar resource. Whether we don't have snow, we don't have long, a 100-mile by 100-mile solar system will go a long way. It might be some huge capital cost, but it will go a long way in solving some of our electricity problems. It might be expensive at the start, but that critical investment, for example, will spur a lot of industries that depend on energy. If we talk about insecurity, we can tie it down to joblessness. Many of our problems in Nigeria, basically, and a lot of people just only need to feel that that there's hope, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that the risk of going into crime outweighs the possible benefit. And once people have that in their mentality, and also once the citizens understand that many of the problems we have is not necessarily the government, but it's a product of us who happens to appear in government, and we begin to work on ourselves on how we can improve ourselves in the citizenry. And that's because they begin to believe in Nigeria, believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Many of these problems will be solvable. So I honestly do believe that many of Nigerians are solvable in 6 months, really.
We hope they are listening and they could apply some of this. All right, gentlemen, let's go off. But tomorrow, once again, is our independence. October the 1st is also Raji Olayinka's birthday. Tomorrow also, listen to this. The protesters, the organizers of that protest, they termed it, I think they said, I've forgotten the name they called it now, but they say they are not going back. They are going to pull out end bad governance in Nigeria, October 1st. They say they are going to protest. It's being spearheaded by Omoyele, Showere, and some other people. And I think they have the right to protest anyway. So tomorrow, SSM will be here also to celebrate Nigeria 64th Independence Day. If you are open, you can join us in the program. And viewers are also open to join us, make comments. What has Nigeria done to you? And how have you also contributed to the development of Nigeria? Gentlemen, thank you for coming. George, any last word before we...
Well, George, are you in Nigeria?
No. I'm actually in Canada. I'm at a restaurant that
looks like
I just decided. Yeah,
It's
looks that we're trying to. It's an embassy. It's an embassy. It's like a place where you can come and feel the feel of a Buka system. So that's where we are. Buka system.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
So that's where I am.
Nice.
I brought somebody from another country to come and enjoy our meal here, and then time caught up with me, so I decided to go ahead and honor my obligation. Yeah. But anyway, happy Independence Day for what is worth a lot of Nigerians. Yes. Our hope is still, we still have hope that one day, very soon, God will give us a Nigerian leader who is proactive, who is also will understand the needs of the people, not just governance by the name only, but through substance. And that's what we are hoping. And I want to say, hello to everybody. Happy Independence Day in Nigeria. We love you guys, and we will continue to fight until what we are hoping for will come. That's it.
It will come. Yes. Raji, are you there? We still lose you. Raji is disconnected. Okay. Godwin, you have anything to say before we go?
Yeah, happy Independence Day to all Nigerians in advance. Nigeria one day will be something to write home about. We just need to put in the right people and be the right people. Be the right citizen and put in the right people.
Come.
Be the right citizen and be the right people. Good.
By the way, this is my brother here, all the way from Canada. We're going to be launching an app for him on this channel very, very soon. His name is John Chukutu. He's from the same village as me. So say hello to my panelists here. This is around the world, my brother.
You're welcome.
Yeah. This is from Milan, Italy, Nigeria, and from Russia. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
All right.
All right, gentlemen. So,
all right,
in the spirit of Nigeria independence, have a beautiful day. We'll be here tomorrow, and if you can't make it, we'll see you on Wednesday. God bless you all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.